Henderson Ground, Cessna 852 Zaitzili, student pilot currently at the north ramp, taxiing with Alpha.
Talking to ATC stresses out almost every new pilot, and honestly, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's something about pushing that mic button that makes you feel like the whole frequency is waiting for you to mess up. Every pilot goes through that phase. What nobody tells you early on is that controllers do not care if you sound new or hesitant. They're not judging your voice, they're not critiquing your phraseology, and they're definitely not laughing at you. Their only job is to keep airplanes separated, and your radio calls are just tiny pieces of information that help them do that. Once you stop thinking you're being judged, half the pressure disappears immediately. The biggest thing that helps new pilots sound confident is keeping things simple. You don't need to sound perfect, polished, or fast. You just need to give the controller the basics: who you're talking to, who you are, and what you want. That's the whole formula. Tampa Ground, Cessna 34 Echo at the south ramp, ready to taxi with Bravo. Nothing more. No extra commentary, no filler words, just the essentials. The moment you simplify your calls, you'll sound more confident even if you're still nervous. And something that builds confidence quickly is understanding how predictable ATC actually is. Ground gives you taxi instructions. Tower gives you takeoff and landing clearances. Approach gives altitudes, headings, and radar contact. Once you realize each controller has only a few types of instructions they can possibly give you, you stop freezing when they respond. Another thing new pilots struggle with is feeling like they need to explain themselves. You really don't. You don't need to justify why you're requesting something, and you don't need to apologize for being new. Controllers prefer short, clean, to-the-point transmissions because it reduces frequency congestion. A good rule is this: if it doesn't help ATC separate traffic, it probably doesn't need to be said. And when you're nervous, keeping it short protects you from stumbling. When you listen to airline pilots, notice that their calls are shockingly boring. American 123 ready, United 452 climbing to 10,000. Clear, efficient, not impressive. There's no attempt to sound cool. That's what real confidence looks like: being comfortable with clean, simple communication. Let's talk about the mental side of it, because confidence on the radio is 80% psychological. Most new pilots make the mistake of grabbing the mic too fast. They're thinking out loud as they transmit, and that's when the oohs and the awkward phrasing show up. You want to separate your thinking from your speaking. Think first, talk second. If you need a moment, take it. ATC would much rather wait 2 extra seconds and hear a clean call than hear you ramble for 10 seconds trying to figure out what you meant to say. There's no prize for being fast. Take that extra breath and build the sentence in your head before you say it. Something else that destroys confidence for new pilots is information overload, trying to read back things too fast or feeling pressured by the speed of the controller. Here's the truth: you are allowed to ask ATC to slow down. You are allowed to ask them to repeat something. You are allowed to write your clearance down before you read it back. If a taxi route sounds confusing, stop for a second, breathe, and write it down. ATC would rather you understand the first time than miss a turn and taxi into the wrong place. You're flying the airplane, you're allowed to control the pace when you need to. Now let's go deeper into controlled vs uncontrolled, because this is one area where pilots get confused and lose confidence. At a towered airport, controllers are responsible for maintaining order. They tell you when to taxi, where to go, when to line up, and when to take off. Your job is simply to follow instructions unless something looks unsafe. But at a non-towered airport, it's the complete opposite. Nobody is keeping you separated. There is no controller watching over the pattern. You're responsible for your own spacing, your own sequencing, and your own decisions. That's why radio calls at those airports are more about broadcasting your intentions than asking for clearance. Cessna 34 Echo, entering left downwind runway 10. That simple call lets everyone know exactly where you are so they can build a mental picture of the pattern. And here's the important part: calling your position correctly is more important than sounding professional. You don't need to force official phraseology. If you're not sure how to label something, describe it plainly. 5 miles southeast, crossing over midfield, extended downwind. Nobody will ever fault clarity. Another massive confidence booster: understand that ATC is not above you, they're working with you. You're the pilot in command. If ATC gives you an instruction that you can't accept or that you're not comfortable with, you're allowed to reject it. You can say unable. It's not disrespectful, it's normal. If tower tells you to line up and wait and you're not ready, say unable, need another minute. If approach gives you a tight turn or descent that doesn't work for your aircraft, say so. Controllers respect pilots who communicate clearly and know their limits. Finally, the fastest way to get comfortable talking to ATC is simply hearing real-world traffic. Spend a few minutes each day listening to live ATC. Follow one airplane's entire flow. You'll hear pros get stepped on, mishear instructions, get corrected, and ask questions. You'll hear controllers get busy, get flustered, and sometimes sound impatient because it's real life, not a textbook. The more you hear it, the more you realize radio work is messy, imperfect, and human. That's when everything becomes easier because you stop treating radio calls like a performance and start treating them like part of the job. Once you get past the initial intimidation, radio calls become one of the easiest parts of flying. Confidence comes from simplicity, preparation, and understanding that nobody on the frequency is grading you. Think first, talk second, keep it short, and don't be afraid to ask for a repeat. The more you fly and the more you listen, the more natural it feels, and one day you'll wonder why talking to ATC ever made you nervous at all. Thanks for watching Aero Decoded. If this helped you feel more confident on the radio, hit subscribe. I've got more straightforward pilot tips coming. Tell me what you're struggling with in training and I'll break it down in a future video.